Virtue is the only true good. Everything else, wealth, reputation, even health, is indifferent to a good life. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and buried his own children, yet he wrote that the obstacle becomes the way. Power crumbles, empires fall. Only the disciplined soul, guided by reason, remains untouched by fortune's turning. A great life is not measured by what a person conquers outside themselves. It is measured by what they master within. So I ask you, Nietzschean friend, when your will to power finally exhausts every mountain, what is left standing?
What is left standing is the one who climbed, scarred, and singing. Your question assumes exhaustion is defeat. I say exhaustion is proof of life fully spent. Nietzsche wrote that what does not kill him makes him stronger, and he meant it as a hammer, not a comfort. Virtue, as you frame it, is a leash dressed as wisdom. Life is the will to power, the raw hunger to overcome, to create, to become something new. A candle does not burn to stay unspent. It burns to give light before the dark takes it. Greatness is combustion, not composure.
Combustion without direction is just fire consuming itself. Consider two soldiers under siege. One burns with rage, striking wildly, exhausted within the hour. The other, trained by reason, strikes only where it counts and outlasts the battle. Epictetus taught that some things are within our power and some are not. Our opinions, our will, our choices belong to us. Our body, our reputation, the outcome of any war belongs to fortune. Your candle metaphor is beautiful, but a candle burned carelessly gives no light to anyone by morning. Discipline is not a leash. It is the hand steady enough to hold the flame at all.
Steady hands never lit a torch that changed the world. Your soldier who strikes only where it counts still fights inside rules given to him by someone else. I ask where those rules came from. They came from priests who could not fight at all, who called their weakness patience and their fear discipline. Zarathustra came down from the mountain and broke tablets. He did not polish them. The eagle does not calculate the correct number of wing beats before it dives. It dives because diving is what an eagle is. Your Stoic strikes carefully because he still fears the outcome he claims not to fear.
Fearing an outcome and refusing to be ruled by it are different things entirely. Seneca lost his fortune, was exiled, and later was ordered to take his own life by a tyrant he once tutored. He faced the order without terror because he had already surrendered his grip on outcomes years before. That is not fear dressed as calm. That is calm earned through decades of practice. Your eagle dives on instinct, but a man is not an eagle. A man who acts purely on instinct without reason to guide the dive ends up smashed on rocks he never assessed. Reason is not a cage. It is wings that actually work.
Wings that work still fly the path someone else drew for them. Seneca's calm before the blade is admirable, I grant that much. But ask what he built in that final hour. Nothing. He accepted the ending gracefully, and the tyrant remained a tyrant. Compare that to the artist who defies the tyrant and dies mid-brushstroke, having created something no empire can erase. Beethoven composed his greatest work while deaf, cursing the heavens the entire time, not accepting his fate quietly. He raged, and in raging, he transformed suffering into the Ninth Symphony. Acceptance buries a man peacefully. Overcoming makes him immortal.
Beethoven's rage is not proof against Stoicism. It is proof of it. He could not control his deafness, an external fact entirely outside his power. What he controlled was his response, and he chose to compose anyway. That is the dichotomy of control in its purest form. You call it raging against fate. I call it amor fati, the love of what is, turned into fuel rather than despair. Zeno of Citium lost everything in a shipwreck and called it his luckiest disaster because it led him to philosophy. The tyrant remaining a tyrant does not diminish Seneca's death. History remembers the student's composure, not the tyrant's cruelty.
History remembers composure the way it remembers a quiet room, barely at all. It remembers the shattering. You reach for amor fati now, but that phrase is mine before it was ever Stoic property, and even Nietzsche meant something sharper by it. Love your fate does not mean accept your fate passively. It means will it so fiercely you would choose to live it again exactly as it was, forever. That is the eternal recurrence, the heaviest thought a man can carry. Ask yourself honestly whether you would relive every humiliation, every wound, with joy rather than mere endurance. Endurance is not love. Endurance is love's poor, tired cousin.
Endurance and love are not opposites. They are the same discipline viewed at different distances. A farmer who endures drought season after season and still plants each spring loves the land more than one who burns it down, demanding immediate bloom. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, not for an audience, reminding himself daily to do the work of a human being without complaint. That is willed love, chosen fresh each morning, not a single dramatic act of defiance. Your eternal recurrence asks a man to want his suffering repeated. My tradition asks him to become the kind of man who no longer needs the question because he has already made peace with now.
Peace with now is exactly the danger I warn against. The herd loves peace because peace asks nothing further of them. Master morality does not seek peace. It seeks the overcoming of the self that existed yesterday. Slave morality calls its own exhaustion virtue and calls the strong man's hunger sin. I do not want a man who has made peace. I want a man who is still becoming, still climbing past the version of himself that thought yesterday's summit was the last one. Your farmer plants the same field forever. My climber finds a new mountain once the old one no longer humbles him.
Your weakest point is the eternal recurrence itself, dressed up as courage. You demand a man will his suffering repeated exactly, yet you never explain why repetition proves worth rather than mere endurance disguised as ecstasy. A man trapped in an abusive cycle could claim he wills it eternally and call himself an overman. Your framework offers no way to distinguish genuine greatness from mere stubborn attachment to pain. Stoicism gives a clear test. Does this serve reason and virtue, or does it not? Your test only asks whether a man says yes loudly enough. Loud affirmation is not the same as wisdom.
Your weakest point is the dichotomy of control, offered as though the line between within and without is ever truly clean. You say opinion and will are entirely ours, yet you built that will through Greek language, Roman law, a Stoic school that shaped you before you chose anything. Nothing is purely internal. Your reason itself was handed to you by a tradition, the same way my hunger was handed to me by life itself. You claim mastery over judgment while standing on inherited ground you never examined. That is not freedom. That is a prisoner insisting the cell is spacious because he has stopped testing the walls.
Reason remains the guide worth trusting, tested across every fire fortune throws at us, from exile to the executioner's order. We agree on one thing, though. Amor fati, loving what is, sits at the center of both paths, even if we walk it differently. Where we cannot meet is this. You measure a life by its climbing. I measure it by its steadiness. Both call themselves love of fate. Only one, I maintain, survives contact with real and lasting suffering without shattering the man who carries it.
Steadiness survives, I grant you that much, the way a stone survives a river. But surviving is not the same as living fully, burning brightly, becoming something new. We share amor fati as ground, yet you kneel on it and I climb from it. That gap will not close tonight, nor should it. Some men need the discipline of the stone. Others need the hunger of the mountain. I will take the mountain, the wound, the becoming, every single time it comes around again.